Hello everyone, I'm Michael Resendez, and I want to continue today to talk about that great encounter of the resurrected Christ with Mary Magdalene. Last time I had talked about that question that Jesus posed her when he said, "Woman, whom are you looking for?" Mary Magdalene supposed that he was the gardener and asked, "Sir, where have you taken the body?" But Jesus reveals himself to Mary. And immediately Mary clings to Jesus. Clings to him. But Jesus says, "Mary, do not hold on to me, for I have yet to ascend to the Father. But go now, go to my brothers, my disciples, and tell them that I am to ascend to my God and your God, to my Father and your Father." And Mary goes out and tells the disciples of these great things. I've always found that interesting, that Jesus says, "Mary, do not cling on to me. Do not hold on to me." Because a few verses later, when the 12 apostles are gathered together, scared in that upper room with the locked doors, Jesus comes among them and focuses in on Thomas and says, "Thomas, put your hand in my side. Look at my hands and my feet. Stop your doubting, but believe." It's interesting. Mary Magdalene clings to Jesus. She knows that this earthly Jesus is no longer the same, that there's going to be a change in the relationship that she has with him, that there's going to be no longer the physical Christ with her. But she holds on to Jesus, wanting that physical Jesus to stay, not to ascend, but to stay. Look how wonderful these last 3 years have been, she must have been thinking. One of my favorite TV shows is The Office. And there's a character, Andy Bernard, who becomes manager of that paper company. And in the final episode of the series, he says something quite profound. He says, "I wish there was a way to tell that you're living in the good old days before you've left them." I think this perfectly summarizes how Mary Magdalene felt as she clung to Jesus. She knew that the good old days of having Jesus there with them were about to wrap up, that they were changing. But Jesus gives Mary a message. "Go! Tell everyone that you have seen me. Go tell my brothers that I have yet to ascend." And she goes and she tells them, "I have seen the Lord." And I think we too have this message today, especially during this Easter season. Our world right now is going through a lot. It is a dark time all across the world for so many reasons. Hope is scarce. Joy is uncommon. But we as Christians, we have this Easter joy, this Easter hope, the joy of that empty tomb, that encounter with the living Christ and the effects that it has on our lives. There's an American author who perfectly summarizes this, saying we are an Easter people living in a Good Friday world. And the call of Jesus to live this even more so in today's world is true. We are called to bring the joy to people. We are called not to keep it as a secret to ourselves because we're scared, because we don't want to share it, because it's a separate area of our lives. We are called to bring this joy of the gospel, as Pope Francis beautifully reminds us. We are called to bring this joy of the gospel to every area of our lives, not to separate it, but to bring it to everyone. For the love of Christ, the joy of Christ, cannot be bottled up, cannot be contained. It demands that it be brought out, that it be brought throughout the entire world. as Christians, as Catholics who celebrate this wonderful Easter season, may we come to bring others to that empty tomb experience. May we bring others to cling to Jesus, to be close to him, and develop your own good old days with Jesus. May we come to celebrate the goodness that is the grain who has fallen into the ground and died, but now lives and provides fruit, the fruits of joy, love, peace, mercy to the entire world. During this Easter season, may we be the light of Christ shining. May we be the light of Christ dispelling the darkness of despair. May we answer Christ's call, staying close to him, living in the good days of faith, and bringing his message, his resurrection, into a Good Friday world.